Cheerio, bonjour, hello. Okay, get right to it. He's talking about the Ring doorbell camera. So I have a question. I don't have a Ring doorbell camera, but I assume there's a monthly expense that goes with that. So that's just more money that they're spending every month. Well, I do have a Ring doorbell camera. However, we refer to it as Oscar and Rudy. I'm just saying, if you're trying to cut back your monthly expenses, then to me, that's something you let go. They live in a very nice neighborhood. They have a dog, and they have locks. They have extra locks. They even have a lock on the front door at the top that nobody can get into. So isn't that interesting? Chris claims that he checked the footage on the Ring camera, and it had already been overridden. I find that hard to believe. But remember, the first thing that he said to Lauren Arnold when she walked in the house that Monday night was, I called everyone. And she said, you didn't call me. I mean, and she's spot on. That was her best friend of years and over a decade, high school best friend. Long time. So, Tammy asked Chris, how long have you had the Ring? And he says, about 2 years. So I looked it up. And Ring started in, I believe, 2009. Or maybe 2012. But in 2016, they did a huge marketing campaign. They hired Shaq, Shaquille O'Neal. And they quadrupled their business. So as soon as they went public and started advertising, Shannon had to sign up for that. Oh my goodness, she had to have the newest thing, because we all know she had to have the newest thing of everything, and money just did not matter. Can you guys hear that? Okay, the last time this happened, I was like, he's starting the vacuum. And later I thought, Seldon doesn't even know where the vacuum is. Honestly, I hardly know where it is either. I have a housekeeper, but I do know where it is. But no, this is some drill press or something. He's got a workshop right below me. The man likes to work with his hands. Okay, if that, I apologize. Tammy has now gotten to that morning. And she asked, how did you wake her up? And he says, well, I nudged her and I kind of rubbed her. I still don't know if I feel like he planned it. Now, we know he's told lots of stories. He told Sherilyn Cadle that Sunday night when he tucked the girls in, he knew that was going to be the last time he was going to tuck them in. I don't know. But, so he got on top of her that morning and they're talking. And my opinion is it was not planned. And then she said, you're never going to see the girls again. Or the kids again. And at that point, he snapped. He had finally had enough of her telling him what he was going to do. At some point, it was going to happen. And that was the moment it happened. So, again, she was going to be one of those ex-wives where she had to know what you were doing. She was going to complain because she sent the kid over in a pair of socks that she bought and you didn't return the kid in that pair of socks. Trust me, I've been through that. It's so funny how the needs of the kids just don't matter anymore. It's all that. And she'll be filing court motions. This is what he's doing on his time. I guess Chris dodged a bullet with that one. Oh, maybe not. Sometimes I'm really tacky and I'm sorry. Okay. He's talking about they had talked to the realtor, Anne, I believe. Sell the house? Oh, okay. So they owed $393,000 on the house. The Zillow at the time of her death was about $440,000. Well, with taxes and sellers, the commissions and stuff you have to pay, that's a wash. They're walking away with nothing. We know the HOA was going to get a lien on the house, so any of that money was going to go to the HOA, which I bring up later. But that's a silly fucking excuse. I was sending it to the wrong address. I've brought this up in other videos. I'm the post office, man. We forward stuff. I forward stuff if the forward has expired. I see the name and I go, oh yeah, Beverly and Reginald moved over here. But he talks about Shannon having access to his phone. And she's like, oh yeah, totally. And Tammy does make a comment, did you ever go on her phone? And he's like, oh, no. To me, that was a little weird. But Shannon was very jealous. And if you're jealous, that means you're insecure. And if you put it in a reverse way, that means your partner isn't showing you enough to make you feel good. So that's kind of a diss on your partner when you're that jealous. Don't be jealous. Your dude is with you because he wants to, or your woman is with you because she wants to. It's just, reality. The neck surgery, the insurance company did not even deem it necessary. I'm sorry. I've had multiple surgeries, 1.4 million, 1.7 million, 1.2 million. And I had maybe a $30 copay. A couple of them I didn't have any, because if you're going to be admitted into the hospital, you didn't have to pay anything. So I had a $1.4 million surgery that cost me zero out of pocket. And it was life-saving. I would have died without it. All but two of my surgeries I would have died without. Two were scheduled. He's talking about all the kids' illnesses, all the things that are wrong with them. He brings up the acid reflux. My grandfather died in 1976. He was also bald as a cue ball. But he walked around with Tums everywhere. He had a little bag of Tums that he always kept in his pocket. But there were Tums next to the TV table. There were Tums in the kitchen. He died in 76. I turned 6 in 76. He died just a week or so after my birthday. But I remember that. I remember the Tums and all that all over the house. My grandpa had acid reflux. But remember that Shannon brought these kids. She doctor shopped. And she openly admitted that she doctor shopped. There was some disease, FMH or FHM. If you have younger children, you know exactly what I'm talking about. My kids were grown up before that came around. And, the 10 and 13-year-old or 11 and 13-year-old I deal with now, they're not stepchildren because we're not married. Okay. Oh, it's all good. I'm not looking to get married. I've only gotten into their worlds, moved in the year. So I had never heard of that. But she says on a post, this is now the 4th doctor I'm taking the girls to find out why they won't diagnose him with FMH. You're publicizing that you're doctor shopping? He talks about he had zero idea of the bills. 2 years ago, they declared bankruptcy. Well, in that 2 years, they racked up another $70,000 in debt. And that's almost embarrassing. You know what? I want to turn the fan on for the bathroom. 70 degrees here in Washington, D.C. on 2/22/22. And I'm hoping the fan will pull some air in from that window. For whatever reason, I love bringing it up. The dining room table. So where did they eat Thanksgiving? I just find it funny that out of all the things that could have been repossessed and apparently did not seem to be, they had the TV up in the loft that who knows when the last time that was turned on. We know there was no dust on it though, because Chris was a very, very good housekeeper. But I think it's hilarious that the dining room table company came and took their table. What did Shannon say as they're pulling that back out of the house when the neighbor's standing there? The girls called Nate's mom Miss Lady, I think. Hello, Miss Lady. Hello, Miss Lady. They didn't know her name. They lived next to her for their entire lives. They didn't know her name. I think that's odd. I know most of my neighbors' names. I know all of my neighbors' names right here. Joanne. Joanne's always up on the corner doing her flowers. Her flowers are beautiful too. I'm not able to do that. We have great azaleas, and I think I'm going to have an azalea group come do them because I have special azaleas. They're double blooms or something. I don't really know what I'm doing with them. And they're gorgeous. I don't want to mess them up. They're getting ready to have Nico. She's 15 weeks pregnant. So in another 25 weeks, they're going to have Nico. She's home for 6 weeks. And then Boom. Another $250 to Primrose. So you're now giving Primrose $710 or $20 a month. Because you have to pay more money if they weren't potty trained. So you got to have Nico, that infant who is happy just learning basic skills, speaking. So I was born deaf. I was one of the experimental kids that got tubes in the ears. Cece and Bella also had tubes in their ears. But I was one of the first ones. And so I did not hear for the first 2 years of my life. And I couldn't say fork and pork and R and S and T because you make those sounds inside of your mouth. So when you're an infant and you're talking to someone, that infant is learning. Well, I couldn't hear that. So I would always say, would you hand me my pork? And that's, would you hand me my fork? I mean, if you look, it almost, hand me my fork, hand me my pork. It almost looks exactly the same. But another thing, these kids with the mask on, it's ruining their social skills. Chris told Tammy the mortgage was current. Why? He knew it wasn't. During the 5 weeks she was gone, he received 2 certified letters. And I don't have any inside information from the post office, but he did. One from Chase regarding the mortgage, saying, you're 3 months in arrears. You have to get caught up by August 29th, I believe it was, or you're the fuck out. And the second one from the HOA that said, for the past 14 months, we haven't gotten a penny from you. We're suing you. And there's something else. The HOA and Chase, obviously, but the HOA didn't start with a certified letter. They wrote her many, many, many letters. I'm sure they offered her a payment deal. Hey, pay us 1.5 times. You're owning the house, so hoping you're going to live there for many, many years. So I'm sure they offered her a deal, but she ignored it. She did not ignore her fingernails. Bright yellow with stupid butterflies painted on them on one of them. Makes me want to look. I think that Chris staged the car break-ins at the house so that he could find out where Nate's camera was. I just do. This goes back to my did he plan it or not. So I don't know that he planned it for that morning. I think it had been in his head. It was something that was in his head. He was like, how can I get rid of this woman? And he's not going to just divorce her. How can I get rid of her the terrible way? And because it was only 2 weeks prior that these supposed break-ins happened with the flathead screwdriver. Do you watch the behavior panel? Those guys think it's very interesting that he makes a point of saying it's a flathead screwdriver. But that way he got to go into Nate's house and see what angle the camera showed. He carried Shannon out exactly at his waist. The girls ran out to the trucks. He picked them up and put them in. We know that. Armchair Detective figured that out. Armchair Detective shows where it had to be Bella because she went in the truck first, where she even does something where the interior light of the truck goes out, and that's all in the film. Again, FBI never credited the man. Now she's talking about he's going to Survey. Do you have anybody else ever noticed the night before Graham says, okay, let me write this down, Survey, I think he says CERVY, and Chris says yes, or SERVY, and Chris says yes. Reality, it's spelled CERVY. I may be mixed up, but however way Graham says it's spelled is incorrect, and Chris goes, yeah, that's how it's spelled. Chris also tries to skip right through the first one that he was at. But she says, were you there alone? And he was like, oh, just people stop at the office and then everybody shows up. And I found this interesting. She says, who shows up? And he just, boom, 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 boom. Melissa, Chad, duh. Yet, 45 minutes earlier when she said, who's at the Rockies game with you? And he goes, SpongeBob SquarePants, Patrick, Squidward, Mr. Krabs. Because he's trying to think. Does he not think they're going to go ask these people? Really? But I just found it interesting. Melissa Parrish, Chad Neal, Troy McCoy. See, I almost know what I listen to it way too much. She asked him when he gets the phone calls. She doesn't spend very much time on the phone calls with back and forth with Nicole at the house and stuff. But what did you do when you come home? When you came home? And he tells her he drove straight home. You guys remember that he actually stopped at some kind of service station because we see the video in it. He's got a baseball hat on. He's wearing a different shirt than he's wearing at home. Maybe not. But he's kind of flirting with the cashier just from the body language. You can see that. You can see it in his face. But he doesn't tell Tammy he did that. So that's just going to be another lie. I think this guy thinks that so many people would say, you are such an amazing, perfect guy, that the CBI and the FBI, they weren't going to go check anything. He does explain why the girls and Shannon's DNA might be in the truck, because, they've played in his truck. They wanted to see it. Shannon wanted to see it. Well, that I kind of get. But also kind of see that Shannon didn't give two shits what was in his work truck. What she cared about his work truck was the paycheck it brought home every other week. So I don't think Shannon cared about any of that. Then they're talking about the security blankets and stuff. I'm getting ready to shut this down. Security blankets and stuff girls brought with them. None of my kids had any kind of security blanket or a toy or anything that they had to have with them forever. My brother had a security blanket, and he used to take the corner and stuck it up his nose. And I mean, he was getting old and still doing that. Not old. I wasn't around. He's 2.5 years older than I am. But my parents talked about it, and they took pictures of it. Good for them. Okay, if you're still watching right now, I am shocked. Thank you very much. Please hit like, hit subscribe. Give me your thoughts below. If you think I got something wrong, definitely let me know. And God bless America.